Hey friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to a new video. Today I just wanted to share what my gaming goals are for 2025. I normally do these videos in January, but it's just been a hectic, busy year, so we're filming it here now in May. But I just wanted to go over some of the goals I had planned for the rest of this year. I also was asked by one of my subscribers, Mythic on YouTube, if I had any thoughts about the Nintendo Switch 2 and if I was going to get one or not, so I figured we would talk about that. I've also had people ask me what I thought about the recent news about Xbox and their price increases and Sony and things like that, so I also figured to discuss a little bit about that, and then also talk about the end of the video about my future plans with gaming and my collection and stuff. So I've got a little paper written down with some bullet points just to remind me, so I make sure I'm able to talk about everything that I wanted to in the video and don't forget. Because when I film these kind of videos, sometimes I end up forgetting like half the stuff I wanted to even discuss, and I remember it after I filmed the video. And so I've just made it a point now to write out a paper, type up something for me just to keep me from getting lost in the video and forgetting what I wanted to say. So that's why I have that set up. So I just want to start off with the gaming goals I have for this year, for 2025. So the first one is a big one that I had created in 2019, and that was continuing to play the games in my collection. And I want to continue to be enjoying and playing more games that I have in my collection, because I've loved building a collection up. I love owning games. You know, it's really great having the space to have a game room that I have here at this current place. You guys see my big game wall behind me in my videos, and I've done a few room tours here, and I really do enjoy having the games. I like having them out on display and stuff, but nothing beats actually playing them. I mean, you guys can see the different ones here that recently I've been putting out some of my favorite Xbox One titles here, and I will change them out periodically. Well, I really like that, but nothing beats actually taking the time to play through those games. And I've been having a lot of fun. I've just been discovering a lot of wonderful games. Last year I played a lot of Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Xbox 360 games, original Xbox games. Like, I had a lot of great experiences last year, and I beat over 20 titles last year and had a lot of fun with it, which kind of leads me to my next goal. Is I want to try to beat more games this year than I did last year. I wanted to beat a few more games, and so I've been looking to play more shorter experiences, games that'll take you like 5, 6, 10, maybe 15, maybe 20, maybe even like 30 hours. But I'm trying not to play too many of those giant games like, you know, Elder Scrolls series. I love the Oblivion and Skyrim and Morrowind and the Fallout games, your Witchers and stuff. You know, I love those kind of games, but you have to be able to devote hundreds of hours to them, because I like to go through in those kind of games and just explore every inch of the map and find all the secrets, and then they have collectibles, then you want to do all the side quests, and then sometimes those games have multiple paths you can take, so then you want to replay areas and create a save file so you can do different paths to see different endings and stuff, and so that ends up eating up a lot of my time to focus on just one game. Like, I know Elden Ring, I put like 80 hours into that one and still haven't beat it. I had a lot of fun a couple years ago with that Aliens Dark Descent game that I put like 80 hours into and beat it. I really enjoyed it. But those super long experiences, though, you know, take up a lot of time. And so I've been looking to playing more games that are quicker, that I can beat, like first-person shooters and some story-driven games. Sometimes little arcade ones, like I played the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I was able to beat that in like a little over 2 hours, you know, so I like having shorter experiences right now. I'll still mix in a game, like I did play some of Biomutant again this year, but I'll play it for a while and then I want to move on to something. I don't want to be just stuck playing only one kind of game, because I like playing a variety of them. So definitely want to beat more games this year. I also want to work on a wanted list for my Xbox 360. These are still titles that I was looking for last year, and the great thing about now is that a lot of the FOMO and the hype and the craziness for Xbox 360 collecting has kind of died down. So some of these games that were skyrocketed in price, I saw like $300 and $400, have come back down. There's plenty more copies. I mean, for a while, some of these games, like that Fatal Inertia as an example, you couldn't find a copy to save your life on eBay online, and people wanted tons of money for it. Now if you go on there, the market's kind of flooded with copies of people selling them, and the prices have come way down on it. And for me, there's a list of games that I have that I'm looking for that are not too expensive. Some of them are 8, 9, 10, 15, maybe 20 or 30 bucks. And so some of the titles that I was looking for last year were priced, got up to like $60, $70, $80, and they finally come back to a normal price. And so, you know, with me, I'm always patient with this hobby. I'm not going to rush it. And so I decided, you know, hey, let's check out some of the prices for 360. I've noticed they're starting to go down, and hey, they're starting to go down. And so I'm going to try to add some more of those off my list. And it's not a huge list. You know, I'm not looking for another 500 games or something. You know, I'm looking for like maybe 20 more games for the 360, but I'm not in a rush to get them. If I don't get them this year, it's not the end of the world. You know, can always get them down the road, but I'm looking to get some of those. I also want to continue looking at PS4, Xbox One, and Series X titles that I've missed. I've been doing some game hunting lately and just making like mental notes in my head. I'll even write down in a notepad on my phone like a name of a title or something. Oh, this looks kind of cool, because I just look at the random games that my game stores have, and then I'll watch videos and gameplay and stuff, and I've been finding a lot of great cheap games out there that I might want to buy for my Xbox One, some great PS4 games and stuff out there, and you know, now's a great time to buy them because the games are so cheap for them, so I'm working on that. I do have a list of some PS3 games that I want to find and buy as well, as they're still priced fairly cheap here locally, online and stuff, and pretty relatively easy to find. I mean, I still find some of this stuff when I go to thrift stores, so I am looking to get some PS3 games as well. I do need to order some bottles of Bestine rubber cement thinner. Now, that's a secret sticker removal chemical that I learned from my good buddy here, Dean, who has his Escape to Gaming channel, Vinny Corleone. He's the one who told me about that secret with removing stickers from cover arts, the actual cover art itself, manuals, cartridges, cases, and that stuff doesn't damage the artwork, it doesn't damage anything, and it's safe. And I've been able to remove hundreds of stickers for my games. Well, I've run out, and I need to get a couple bottles of that, and so this year I definitely want to go through. I still got several games in my collection that are got some nasty stickers on them that I need to go through and remove those stickers, so I need to get some cans of that Bestine. It's just not easy to find locally. I've been having to buy it on Amazon. Sometimes there's some eBay sellers that sell it, so I got to get some of that. I also want to go through some of my games and replace some of the broken cases, like jewel cases for some PS1 games and Dreamcast, or some that have cracks in them and are dirty and dingy. So I'd like to order some replacement cases this year. Same thing for some Xbox and PlayStation stuff, Nintendo things, and just replace some of these old dingy cases this year. Just over time. You don't have to do it all at once, you know, but over time I will. I also want to open up my PS4 and Xbox Series X consoles again this year, because they're always sitting out in my living room, and so they always collect dust. I usually will take them outside and blow dust. I have a cool shop vac that if I took the hose and put it on the back, it actually becomes a giant blower. And so I like to open the consoles up, take them outside, and get all the dust out of them, because, you know, dust is the greatest enemy you can have for your electronics. Is it cakes on there, causes the consoles to overheat, and over time, you know, you can actually destroy them. So I want to take them out again and do a good thorough cleaning on them. Eventually, you know, I'm going to have a friend that can do computer repair and stuff, and eventually have him like replace thermal paste and stuff for the CPU and stuff on the motherboards, that kind of thing. I eventually need to get that done for some of my consoles, just to keep them pristine, and so I can enjoy them for years to come. And then I also still have a bunch of extra duplicate games and stuff that I've removed from my collection a few years ago. I still got a couple boxes of that stuff that I am going to trade into the game store soon to get some more trading credit to buy some of that PS3, PS4, Xbox One, 360 games I'm looking for. So I'm going to be working to trading more of that stuff into the local game store, so that should be good. So those are pretty much my goals for this year, just stuff I have planned, mostly playing games and stuff, doing some game hunting, but really it's just mainly going to be focused on playing and enjoying the games that I already have in my collection. Now, my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch 2. You know, people are asking me if I was super hyped for it. I mean, I love the Nintendo Switch. I think it's great and everything, but at this point in life, I'm just not really that excited about picking up a Nintendo Switch 2. And it doesn't matter if it was a $300 console. I know they're saying it's $450, $500 console. The problem for me is the console has to have games that I want to play for me to even invest the money in it. And it's the same kind of problem I have with PlayStation 5, because people that I know have PlayStation 5, they love it, and they're like, you know, hey, are you going to get a PlayStation 5 ever? And for me, it's like, you know, I'd have to spend $500 to get a PlayStation 5, but what are the games on it that I'm going to want to play? You know, there's just a few handful of exclusive titles I would like to play on it. All the other ones I could play on my Series X that I already have. So I just can't see myself justifying spending all that money to play just 3 or 4, 5, 6 games. You know, there's just not enough games on the PlayStation 5 for me to justify buying it. Well, the same thing's going to be for the Nintendo Switch 2 for right now. Is there's only really 2 games that really interest me that are going to be coming out for it, and that's the Mario Kart World game, you know, the new Mario Kart game. But with anything with like Mario Kart comes, you know, I've been playing Mario Kart since it came out on Super Nintendo, and they're pretty much just more of the same, a more racing game. And I'm not somebody that, you know, could play Mario Kart every day and put in 800 hours into Mario Kart. You know, eventually you get bored with it and, you know, you move on to something else. So do I really need to buy another Mario Kart game right now, you know, to justify the price of the console? Not really. The only other one I really like that would be really cool is that Donkey Kong Bonanza game, but I can't really see myself spending all that money just to play 2 games right now. So for me, definitely not picking up a Nintendo Switch 2 now, and I don't know if I'd pick one up next year or in the future. I really would depend on what the games are. Also, they talked about the prices. The games are going to be $80 digital and probably $90 for a physical copy. So at that point, again, you know, the game needs to be worth the price of admission. As my buddy Dean was, you know, you have to want to pay for that experience. You know, are you going to get $90 worth, and you get add tax in there, close to $100 worth of value out of that game? You know, I don't want to buy a game and I beat it in 2 hours and, oh, there's $100 gone, that was fun, and can't really replay it much because I already did everything in it. Where maybe if you bought like a Fallout type game that has hundreds of hours, you could justify that higher price point for it. So I don't really like seeing where the price of gaming is going up for console games, but you know, it is what it is. But again, that's another thing that's kind of it would deter me from wanting to buy games, because I'm not gonna want to buy a ton of these games day one when they're priced like that. You know, I'll have to wait for them to be on sale or something, buy them used, get them from GameFly or something. But just not really that excited for Nintendo Switch 2. You know, Nintendo was released recently talking about how they could brick your console if they notice you having any kind of pirated or unauthorized software on there, and that's simply from people making videos and talking about how they pirate current Nintendo Switch games. Like, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to piss off Nintendo. They've been going hard for years after people with ROM sites suing people, not getting all these sites shut down, and people are going to court over this stuff about sharing their things. You know, they got super pissed off about people modding Wii's, and they got upset, you know, about people were modding their Switches to play the modern games. Like, what did people expect? You're making this stuff publicly. Hey, I'm pirating brand new games here. You can play all the free games for free, and you don't have to give Nintendo any money. Of course, Nintendo's going to be pissed by that. And so what do? The backlash is, hey, if we notice that your Switch 2 is unauthorized software, we'll brick it. But there also comes bad things with that, as far as like if you aren't doing pirating, you know, they just mistake it as that, and then they ruin your console and you can't play your games. They you know, lock your account out or something. All that stuff you bought gone and you can't enjoy. So I definitely don't like that. I also want to wait too, because there's so many rumors about the Switch, and this is going to do this and that's not going to do that. Are the games going to be filled fully on the cartridge or not? They might not be. They might be. They might need downloads. They might not. So what I want to do is wait until actual people have bought the console for a few months, they played the games, and they share their honest opinions. And I don't want it to be from a big giant YouTuber who is sponsored and got sent the console, or, you know, an IGN or something, you know, people that are gonna have a biased opinion. Because if someone hands you something for free and tells you to, yeah, give everybody your opinion on this new game, you know, you're your opinion is going to be kind of swayed to the, well, it was free. It's, oh yeah, it's awesome. So I want to see what actual people who've actually played it, your average Joe, thinks of the Switch, and they share their experiences with it, because that's been a good gauge for some of these games, you know, where games have launched and you can see there's positive or negative, and people are complaining about all these, you can see the complaints about a game, there's these bugs and issues, and people are saying, hey, don't play the game yet, wait 3 or 4 or 5 months until some patches come out, because your gaming experience will be shitty and it might ruin it. So I want to wait till actual people have got the Switch 2 in their hands and they played it for a few months, and then you can watch some actual videos from people and see what their honest opinions on it, and then make my decision in the future based on that. But for me right now, really no rush to get a Switch 2, because I also have a decent, regular, the original first Nintendo Switch. I have a ton of games for that still to play that I haven't finished yet. Like, I got a little stack here to share. Like, this Cat Quest game kind of plays like the old Legend of Zelda games with its isometric view, some cartoony graphics, which you play as cats. So I love the game so much that I eventually bought Cat Quest 2. There is a Cat Quest 3 I need to get as well. So I still have these to play. And then these are more recent purchases that I got within the last couple years. Like, I got Super Mario Party Jamboree. I love the Mario Party games. Fun game to play with friends and family, so I want to play this with friends, and I want to play with my family. Got the new Mario and Luigi Brothership game. I want to go through this RPG because I love this series. That's another one to play. Classic remake of Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door, that I beat on GameCube, but they had a Nintendo Switch version, and they re-released it. Very cool. Another one here that I played a little bit, but I need to go back. I would like to beat it, and that's Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Also have Super Mario RPG. This is, they re-released this from the old, and basically like a updated remake of the old Super Nintendo Super Mario RPG that I beat many years ago. Loved it. So this is another one for me to play there. And I've also got Kirby here. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. So this is another really cool one that was a port of an old Wii game. So just right here is a stack of Wii games, RPGs, of Switch games for me to play, and I still have another big stack. I've only played a small handful of my Nintendo Switch titles, as I've been more focused on my Xbox the past couple of years. I do play some Switch stuff, but not as much. So I still have all this stuff to go through, so what would be the point in buying a Switch 2 when I haven't even got through even half of my regular Switch games? So I'm still got to go through those and play those. So for me, I mean, the Switch 2 seems cool and all, but I'm not hyped for it, and I'm in no rush to get one. Where people have been asking me about my thoughts on Microsoft and the Xbox brand and stuff, and how they've talked about they're increasing the price of their consoles that are already out, their Xbox Series X. Like, normally at this time of year, you know, when you're getting like 5 years into a console, like, that's when they become cheaper, not more expensive. So all I see that is just another barrier for people to get into the Xbox brand itself. Like, why do you want to spend more money for a console? Like, I wanted to get another Series X so I could have it as a backup. So now I don't know if that's going to be happening, because I'm definitely not paying more money than what they currently are going for. And I've already seen posts and people sharing that different game stores have already jacked their prices up, inflated. Some people want $650, $700 at their stores for a used used Xbox Series X. Yeah, like, that's not happening. I'm not paying that kind of money, and I really wanted to get one, so I don't know. We'll have to see what the future holds in that. They want to increase the price of their games and go up, just like Nintendo's doing. I'm sure Sony will follow suit with theirs as well, and that's because they want to make more money, because these games cost more money to make, and, you know, it really is what it is. And again, you know, if the price increases the game, you know, I have to be, if I'm going to buy it, it's going to have to be something that's going to be worth the money, and not just going to buy every game at full price, which I don't anyways. There's those certain games that come out that I want to support the developers, and so I'll buy it day one. But my buying new games used to be like multiple times a year. I would pre-order all the time and buy them, but this day and age, you know, I only get a couple games a year brand new. So if their price goes up, I have to decide if it's worth it, or maybe I'll just wait till they're on sale before I buy a copy of it. I know Xbox has talked about releasing like Gears of War on PlayStation consoles and releasing other games eventually. I don't know what the future holds with Microsoft, but they really just want to get their games into the hands of as many people as possible so they can make money. But then, like, someone made a comment, and I kind of agree with it, like, well, if you start releasing all your games on the competitors' consoles and stuff, well, what's the point in owning an Xbox? You know, you own an Xbox or a PlayStation, You know, you want it for the exclusives that you can only experience on that console. Well, if you can experience that console's library on the competitors, you might as well just buy the competitor so you can get theirs, plus enjoy Microsoft stuff. So Microsoft, with moving their games to everybody, I mean, I don't particularly care. I mean, it is what it is. I prefer to game on the Xbox consoles over the PlayStation, but I still love my PlayStation stuff. But I mean, there's not much you can do if they decide to go that route. That's what they decide. You know, they have their Game Pass and stuff. I don't really interested at all. I mean, it's not for me. I like to have my physical copies that I can play and enjoy whenever I want to, because Game Pass is basically like the Netflix of video games. You know, there's games on there. You pay a subscription fee every month, and you can play and enjoy them whenever you want. Now, it's great for people like my brother. He's not really a collector. He's just somebody, you know, he wants to play a new game, play it, beat it, move on to the next experience. He's not really too worried about going back and replaying older games anymore like he used to in the past. So it's great for him. You know, he just likes having access because he has it on his PC. He doesn't have a Series X anymore. He gave me his, actually, and he just does all his gaming on PC, and he loves it. And the Game Pass is a great value for him. I think it's like $15 a month or something, but you might be able to get like a special deal if you buy like a whole year or something. Sometimes they have sales on that and stuff. So he loves it, and it's great for people like that. But for me personally, there's just not enough games on there would justify me for the price, because I might not play Xbox for a whole month. So why would I want to pay for a subscription if I'm not going to use the service all the time? You know, for me to get my value of $15 out of it, I'd have to play quite a few games for me to justify spending that money, because it adds up over time. You know, $15. I mean, do that for 10 years and see how much money you're going to spend. It's going to be a lot. And I'd rather put that money into games that I can buy and play whenever I want to, and not be dictated whenever they decide, because they can pull a game off there and whoop, it's gone. No longer have access to it. Now you got to buy the digital version and spend more money. So I'm not really into the Game Pass, but I understand that it's who it's geared towards. It's just not me. Microsoft is really big, and so is a lot of the gaming industry, into the digital-only future, releasing a lot of titles digitally only. That's not where I want to go, so if we go to that full 100% digital, I just stop with modern gaming and just focus on what I already have. I've got a huge library built up as it is. I have more games in my collection than anyone could beat in their lifetime. I just love having a selection here. It's a great library of games for my own personal enjoyment, so I don't like that. There's been talk about, too, recently about all these physical games being released with not the full game on the disc. And like Doom is a big one, just came out, like has 200 megabytes of data. I know that the Indiana Jones game supposedly doesn't have all the data on it. I have a physical example here of a game that I bought that came out physically, and I love it, but it doesn't have the full game on that, and that's Alan Wake 2, and that's because it was over like 140 gigs that I had to download after I installed the disc. I don't remember how many gigs was the disc, but there's also all that additional content you have to get from online. So this game right here, sadly, is if it's not installed in your console and the network was to go down and you couldn't download it, you might not be able to fully enjoy this game. So it makes even owning physical games at this point, is it even worth buying them, because they don't have the full game on. There is a website dedicated to, I think it's like will this game play offline or install? There's something like that, but there's a website you can go on to where people are researching what games can be fully played offline. I know a lot more like PS4 games, PlayStation 5 games are on the actual disc compared to a lot of Xbox versions. So there is more of those kind of games I've been seeing. So that just, you know, shows you where we're going, because they want to get out of physical games. So if the whole game's not in there, what is even the point of making them? You know, oh, here's a little tiny bit of data, but you have to get the rest. I know Halo Infinite was the same way. Like, only part of the game was on there, and you had to connect online, or you couldn't even play it. Hell, the consoles are like that. The Series X is not even playable out of the box. I can't just plug it into my TV and start playing. It has to have those needed, crucial updates from the server. So once that server goes down at some point in the future, if you have opened up a brand new Series X out of the box and that server's gone, you won't be able to play it unless somebody has found a way to circumvent it, or they created their own third-party software that you could connect your thing to, which is possible, but who knows. So, you know, that's just where we're going with gaming. You know, this being online all the time, being stuck with it, I don't like it. I like being able to enjoy my games offline at my own leisure, and not whenever a corporation decides that they want you to enjoy their games. I also want to talk about how there's been a lot of small print runs for releases lately. I have a couple examples like this. Alan Wake 2 has a really small print run, not easy to find. I've only literally found one copy at all my local game stores here, and they want the full $80 price. None of the GameStops that were around here have any, and a lot of my GameStops closed, sadly, recently. This one was kind of hard to find. Another one that just came out recently, I'm glad I got it from Gamefly. It's hard to, another one kind of hard to find is this Atomfall. You know, there's not a ton of copies out there. You know, they only make so many because most people are buying online, buying the digital versions or getting it through Game Pass. Especially if it's released on Game Pass, then the purchases of physical copies are going to be even less than if it's than just like digital purchase, because people don't have to buy it; they can just play it for the Game Pass. But I wanted to own it, and so I got myself a physical copy. I got it for a good deal from Gamefly. But sometimes it's harder to find some of these newer games being released. Like if you don't get them close to when they're released, you might not actually get them at all in the future. Here's one I have that I'm glad a couple years ago my buddy picked it up because I pre-ordered it at GameStop, and I was the only one that got a copy. There was like 7 of us total, or 8 total people, and GameStop got one copy of this, and my buddy was there, and since he was the first one there when they opened up, I got the copy. The others had to wait for a reshipment, and that was Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun. It was only released physically for the Nintendo Switch, very limited numbers, and you know, I'm friends with the manager of that GameStop by me, and I talked to him a couple weeks after my buddy picked it up for me, and he was telling me that, yeah, man, I'm just not getting the games like I used to. He's like, I only get copies now of some of these games if it's pre-order. Like if 10 people pre-order, they send me 10 copies and that's it. Might get 1 copy extra to sell on the sales floor, but usually I don't. And the only reason that we'll have that one of the floors if someone cancels the pre-order. Like that's how I got Terminator Resistance for Xbox One. Somebody had canceled their pre-order and it just sat on the shelf and got kind of like shuffled in with the games, and people didn't really notice it. I saw it there and ooh, I've been looking for this game. It's hard as hell to find. Bought it immediately, but I got lucky because somebody decided to cancel their pre-order. That game was really hard to find, and now I have the rarest game in my Xbox Series X collection. Almost impossible to find this, and this is just the PAL version. The American version is even harder to find, and that is Trepang 2. This just came out in the last couple years. Super difficult to find this copy. I had to get this from Play Asia, and it was extremely hard to get. Like I ordered it in March, and then literally it went out of stock after I bought it, and there was a group of us had bought it. I got a email from them because I was asking like, hey, it's been a couple weeks, you know, is my game ever going to ship? And they're like, oh man, we're really, you know, they were like, we're really sorry, but we're actually out of stock of the item now. They're like, we don't want you to panic. We don't want you to cancel your order. We promise, we're working at it. We are going to get another shipment of them to fulfill the people who bought them. And they were right. They did get another shipment. They sent it to me, and I got it here in May, so a couple months later. And then you also have to wait because it had to get shipped from Europe. But they were out of them, and they don't have any more at all. I don't know if they're ever going to get restocked or not. And so this is super hard to get. None of my local stores have it. Some of them didn't even believe that it was a real physical copy because it's hard to even find. You go on eBay, you'll find a couple copies from Europe, but you rarely will find one from America. And a lot of the ones I was seeing on there were in Italian or German, and I wanted to get an English copy, and I got an English copy. And the great thing about modern consoles, the 8th gen consoles, 9th gen, is they're not region locked anymore. It's not like back in the day where the games were region locked and you had to mod your console in order to play. Like PlayStation 1, you know, you couldn't play Japanese games on unless you modded your console. Well, the new ones is you pop this in and you can just play it, which I think is awesome. So I can pop this game in right now and I can play it on my Series X without any issues. Just because it says the PAL doesn't mean anything. So that's really great, and that's a great way to get some games sometimes for your collection. You might be able to import a copy and get it cheaper that way. So there's one there. So it just shows you, know, as we move along, you know, games are going to get harder and harder to find. So if there's one of those games out there that you see that's like, man, this game looks awesome, I want to support the devs, you know, pre-order it and buy a physical copy day one so you can help support them and show them that you want a copy. But also, if you really want it, you know, you might not be able to get it, and then in the future you might have to pay a shit ton of money to get a copy. Like I didn't know anything about this game when it came out, till my buddy Dean had found out about it and showed about me. Had I known about this when it was originally launched, I would have immediately bought a copy online, Amazon or something when they were available. I would have got a copy for my collection because it looks awesome and I can't wait to check it out. So definitely, if you see some of these modern games coming out and you really want it for your collection, you might want to look into purchasing it sooner rather than later. You wait too long, you might not be able to find it. Now, it's not with every game, obviously, but some of these games, when they start noticing they have smaller print runs, you might want to go out and get a copy before you can't get them. And I'm just going to end the video with my future plans with collecting, I'm being content with the collection I've built. I've talked about this the last couple of years, that I'm really satisfied with the collection I've built. It's massive. I got lots of games from Atari 2600 all the way to the Series X. I even have old big box PC games I can play. I have enough games now that I could stop buying modern games, and I could play enough games to the day I die and still not play everything I own. So I'm set there. And then realistically, with the way gaming is going, I keep asking, you have to ask yourself, and I ask myself this, do you want to still be buying games when you're 60? Do you want to, I'm 40 now, 20 more years from now, let's say another 2 generations, we're like, all right, guys, I'm buying PlayStation 8 now. Do you really want to just keep buying games and just keep adding more and more games to your collection, and you can't already get to what you already own? Now, if you don't have a big collection and you just have a small handful, I could see you keeping up with the console. But for me personally, they're just going with a way that I'm not into. They're targeting a younger audience. They're not targeting guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s anymore. They're more for the people who love the online. They love their Fortnites and their skins and the gambling aspects of loot boxes and that kind of stuff. And then how the young kids, that's who they're targeting, because that's where the money is at now. It's not in old guys that want a game anymore. It's in the young audience, and the young audience loves the always online, connected, digital stuff, your Game Pass, and that's where they're going. And I just have to be okay with it, and I am okay with it. Like, I don't have to just keep buying games forever. At some point, I'm going to stop with modern gaming and just enjoy what I already have. And then final thing, just going back to it, is just playing the library I've built for my own enjoyment. I built this collection to preserve games for myself. I didn't buy this to preserve it for anyone else. It's not for a museum. Someday someone else in the future will be able to play my collection. No, I bought it for myself. I know some people talk about, they're preserving it for the future so the future generations can enjoy their collection. It's like, realistically, how's that going to happen after you're dead? Are they really going to make a museum in your honor where people are going to come play your collection? No, it's most likely going to end up being sold to other people or end up in a landfill in the future when people don't really care about this stuff. So for me, the only preservation I'm doing is for my own personal enjoyment. I want to be able to play my games now and in the future. That's all I really care about. It's not about preserving this collection for other people to enjoy. It's for my own enjoyment. I built this collection for myself. I never built it for anybody else. That's how it is. And that's how it should be with your collection as well. It should be for your own enjoyment, not to impress people on the internet, not to brag or anything, but for your own enjoyment, so you can play and enjoy playing these games, because that's what they're for. They're for playing, they're for having fun and enjoyment. It should be a fun hobby, not a job, not something that's stressful, and that's what it is for me. So there you guys go. Just wanted to share my thoughts, my goals for the future, talk about what I'm doing this year with gaming goals, thoughts on Switch 2, and the future with gaming and stuff. Love to hear your guys' thoughts, though. What do you guys have planned for 2025 for gaming goals? Are you guys excited for the Switch 2? The gamings? What do you guys think about Microsoft and where they're going? Love to hear your guys' thoughts. Want to thank you guys for watching. Take care. You guys have an amazing day, and Sleepy will see you next time.